Hey sis, welcome to the Sisterhood, Soul, and Strategy podcast, a space for women building businesses that feel as good as they look. I'm Steph, a small town girl from Wisconsin with big dreams to positively impact the world. This podcast is from the heart, where we share real conversations about building intentional businesses that thrive in every season. And the best part, we talk both soul and strategy, and we wrap it all up in sisterhood. Because let's be real, business is more fun in community. So no matter your age or stage of small business ownership, you stumbled upon this podcast for a reason. Now, let's get to the good stuff. So I'm curious, what did you refer to it as?
Insourcing.
Insourcing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this because I think it also maybe plays into intuition, but just like knowing yourself well enough to know what you need.
Yeah.
So I think that becomes the conversation with like let's just give an example, like when we don't feel safe, which is when our body goes into fight or flight. So something that I think we've talked about in one of my sessions too was like, and maybe it's something I read about, but I think everyone can relate when you go to look at your bank account.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Right.
Because even the people who have thousands, if not millions of dollars, I think we all have this like inner response.
Yep.
Because it's not about how much money is in there. It's literally whether you feel safe holding that amount or not. Because there are plenty of people that have lots of money and they're constantly afraid of losing it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So like, I think that example, when I'm talking about, or we're talking about like nervous system unsafe, like what does that mean? I think that's a really good example that everyone can relate to.
Yes.
What do you feel? Like, is it like pit in your stomach?
Right.
Is it like you're like constricted here? Like just acknowledging that.
Yeah.
So then what do we do after that?
Yeah. Like,
once we are aware that like this is the response, then what should we do? What are some things that we could do to actually regulate?
Right. It's a good question. I love that example because like you said, I think so many people have been in that situation. I mean, that's something that I've personally been working in.
Same.
Like years and years and years, like having grown up in poverty, it sticks with you. And you, again, we talk about the lens that we look through.
Yep.
That's what your nervous system is expecting.
Yep.
So even when everything is actually okay, and even okay on paper, right? Like looking at the bank account, your body can still register like, oh no, it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. Right. Or something's going to happen. I'm going to lose it, whatever it is. And I think, what I would recommend doing is first noticing it, right?
Yep.
Awareness is always the first step, is knowing, okay, yep, my body is I'm leaving my body. Like I exited the building.
Yeah.
I'm going into fight or flight. And something that we do, and we've done it before, is sensation tracking. You literally said it, like, yep, you feel your belly start to tense, your heart might start to race.
Maybe your shoulders are tense.
Yep, you're tense. You might literally feel like dizzy, like your energy, your consciousness is leaving your body. And when we can witness that, we can then start to reparent it. We can start to build safety around it. And depending on the circumstance, we might need somebody to play parent for us for a little bit. That might be a somatic coach. That might be your therapist. That might be your best friend, right? So a trusted person in your life who can witness you in this. And until we can start to build our own internal witnessing system, we gotta practice it. We have to practice feeling safe with ourselves. So sometimes it's done with another person. But then once we start to build that safety and build more of a capacity to hold our triggers, we can start to talk to ourselves compassionately and lovingly. A huge component of the work that I teach is compassion. We are so hard on ourselves because, think about that situation. If I'm looking at my bank account and I feel myself leaving the body or my tummy is doing funky things, I'm probably going to feel a shit ton of shame to first off, like
coming back to
feeling like crap,
feeling of shame and why this is a recurring theme in my life.
Right. We're probably going to feel a lot of shame.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have a lot of stories going on in our brain. We're probably going to want to avoid it, or go into like hyper speed and like overcompensate. We do all sorts of things, but in light of protection. But where the real medicine lies, where the real magic is when we're able to observe it It doesn't mean that we don't feel it, but when we're observing it compassionately and it's like, yep, oof, this is really hard right now. My nervous system does not like this. I'm almost like narrating the
Yeah.
experience. I might narrate it out loud. I
Yeah.
might just say it in my head. I might write it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this sucks right now. I'm feeling shame. My stomach hurts. I feel like everything is going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. And then from there, I might go into a somatic practice. I might breathe. I think breath work is, I mean, something that I
Easy
teach,
to
right?
start with. Yeah.
Is something that is so helpful. It's always with us, right? It's the most magical tool that we have 24/7 access to.
Yeah.
Most people. Um, I might breathe into it. I might do a breath that helps me clear emotions. I might have to have a big cry that I didn't get to have 20 years ago when something related to this money story happened.
Mm.
Or I might choose a breath that helps me downregulate if I'm feeling very, very scattered and not okay. Something that helps me feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a somatic lens, I would want to make my body feel physically safe. I might surround myself with comfort items. I might make a cup of tea and just breathe through it. Again, it doesn't mean that we avoid the feeling. It's quite the opposite. We're making room so that we can safely put the doorstop in the revolving door, feel the old emotions through, and then decide what our new story is going to be. Because that's where that personal empowerment piece comes in. We don't
Yeah.
have to keep living the same stories over and over and over again just because
Yeah.
they've happened. It doesn't mean that we invalidate our trauma either, right?
Mhm.
All of it can coexist.
Yeah.
So my question is, with this, what can the new story be? And it doesn't mean that our our new story and the old story can coexist, right? And so just because we still might have energy in the old story doesn't mean that we can't start to craft a new story. So I think about blending the past self with the present self with the future self. How can everything coexist?
Ooh, I love this. Okay. So and after one of my sessions, felt called to write out my money story of
Hmm.
like starting from a young age, this is how money felt, all the way to where I am now. And that was like very helpful. And I didn't write it for anyone else to read other than myself to be like, yeah, this is my story. And now I get to choose a new one.
Yeah.
So I think like I just got the idea too of like writing my future money story of like, well, this is what I want to see, right? Because I'm like in the present right now, I'm changing some things. Um, but that has been, yeah, like a theme that has continued to come up is I've told myself that I am not good with money, even though this is not true at all. I've just like taken on large risks
Mhm.
that I've made a lot of money and I've lost a
Yeah.
lot of money and I've always been hardworking towards making money. But that was something that came through in our past session was just like rewriting the story because that story doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form to like live life through a lens of like, oh, I'm not good at money. And
Yeah.
then what do exactly
Yeah.
what you believe becomes, what your reality
Yep.
is.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally. And I just know that's like a huge lesson that I'm here to learn is that no, I can actually overcome this. I can um, be in a different lens of what this
Mhm.
experience is. But it's first acknowledging what is the story on replay
Mhm.
to actually be able to build a new one.
Absolutely.
And it just makes me think of like our friend Becca's
Yes.
talk on like,
Mhm.
manifest,
Yes.
disrupt, build.
Yep.
We have to do that for some of these stories because we
Mhm.
have to actually disrupt, that pattern
Yes.
to build something new
Mhm.
and acknowledge where we're at.
Yes. 100%. I think sometimes, like the manifestation sphere has blown up over the past 10
Totally.
years. And I think we see so much of like this bypassing. And I think it's beautiful when we want to consciously create something different for ourselves or for the world. And if we don't acknowledge what we're actually carrying, what is real from here down in our
Yeah.
system, we're just going to continue to create from that space.
Yes. The patterns
Yep.
repeat
They
just
always do.
in new
Yep.
experiences until we like, fully disrupt them
Hmm.
and release them and
Yes.
then are able to build something new off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, in light of shame, it's like when we're only manifesting from like this dreamy space and we're not actually acknowledging what shadows we're needing to work through.
Mm,
And then, like you said, when the inevitable thing comes up and tries to show us the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
We then feel so much shame again. We're like, oh my God, here I am trying to do all this new stuff. And then I'm hitting a roadblock. What is wrong with me? And we're back in the hole again.
Yep.
When really, my belief is that we do not live in a malicious world. We don't live in a malicious universe.
Yes.
Our world is always just showing us who we are at any
Yeah.
given moment, and there's no maliciousness involved in it, at least what I believe.
Yep.
It's just showing us where we're at, showing us who we're being, what we're carrying. And using life as a mirror can be so helpful and can be painful.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to really acknowledge yourself in that way. But that is how we're actually going to get out of shame. And not just get out of it, but like actually love it and integrate it and heal it so that we can move forward with authentic compassion for ourselves. And think, when we have a great deal of self-compassion, how is it that we treat others? With compassion.
Right, exactly.
It spreads just as much as shame spreads.
Yes, totally. Well, and that was one of the things that I talked to on a different episode of Up Leveling, right? The first sign is the resurfacing of the patterns and the wounds and the traumas, and being like, WTF, I already healed this. Like, what is going on? Like I said, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because I thought that I already moved on from this, but that was just, for me, that kind of started back in September of last year. So that was kind of just this like door opening of like, come here. There's more. There's another layer and level to the depth of healing that you need to do. It almost feels like the soul level. It's the somatic, the body, the soul level, because the brain's already like checked out. I don't want to go back there. And that was like a fear that resurfaced too, was like, I don't want to go back to that phase of my life when when all I could think about was, oh my gosh, I got to pay my bills. I don't know where it's going to come from. Now I need to work extra. I need to hustle. I need to push. And while I'm doing all of this, I'm worthless because what I'm doing for a living is not enough. I'm not making ends meet, or I barely am. Like, just this like repeat cycle of like horrible thoughts that ties so much back to that, like, the shame and the pushing and the needing to prove and perform in a way, and output, create results like constantly,
It's exhausting.
which is exhausting. But I also know this is where a lot of women live. And whether you're an entrepreneur or not, we all have this on some level in our career, as a mom, just like going after our goals, whatever those goals are. I think this is part of what comes with it, is this like need to drive and push results constantly.
Always.
Instead of, well, I can actually just like enjoy the experience it for what it is. It doesn't need to always have a result tied to it. I can do things just for fun. I can play. I can create. Doesn't have to turn into something productive, like this productive mindset. Oh, hey sis, I am just putting on my favorite lip gloss, Small Town Beauty by Asia. This is my favorite color. It's called 23. It's hot pink and I am obsessed. She has so many different fun colors. She has lip treatments that can nourish your lips. But personally, I'm a lip gloss bestie and I absolutely love the human behind this brand, Asia. Her mission and vision is to make sure that just because we live in a small town doesn't mean we can't have incredible products like this lip gloss. So if you are a small town girly who loves a good lip gloss, you need to check out Small Town Beauty by Asia, and you can use my code to save $5 at checkout. Hey, it's just me here interrupting the podcast to tell you about my favorite cup of tea and why this is such a ritual for me daily. I love the Rosarium from Inner Garden Botanicals, pouring it from my little tea brewer here. And for me, this just brings presence, peace, and calm to my day. It's a really simple yet essential piece of my evening routine. And I've even started drinking it more throughout the day, which, if you know me, I've always been a caffeine addict. And so this forces me to reduce my caffeine intake, slow down, enjoy and savor this beautiful cup of tea. I love the loose leaf blends from Inner Garden Botanicals, and I absolutely love everything that this company stands for, which is all about rituals, presence, peace, which is what I'm all about, and how we can support ourselves in the seasonalities of life. If you want to try out Inner Garden Botanicals, you can get 20% off your first order when you use my code SOULSISTER20 today. Cheers to bringing in some incredible rituals into our day today that support us and ground us in the present moment, like Inner Garden Botanicals. Hey, it's me interrupting the podcast because you need to know about one of my favorite organic skincare brands. And bonus, it is a small business, and that is Simple in Nature. I am obsessed. I started using the Simple in Nature organic body oil a couple years ago in the winter when my skin was so disgustingly scaly dry. And I had tried every lotion that I could think of. And I met Sabria and she was like, you need to try the body oil. And I'm obsessed. I barely skip a day. It is amazing. My personal favorite scents are Harmony or her current newest scent, which is Serene. It is lavender, vanilla, eucalyptus, and thyme. And honestly, I use this every single day along with my lip oil. And I use my sugar scrub a couple times a week to keep my skin hydrated, nourished, and healthy, not just in the winter, but all year long. If you want to try out your first order, head over to simpleinnature.com with the link in the show notes to get 20% off using my code STEPH20.
Oh my gosh. And as you speak this, my brain just goes to this bigger picture of, like, we're talking about women never feeling like they're enough, how society keeps perpetuating that, and then how we perpetuate that with each other. You know,
Yeah.
it's like this never ending thing. And instead of women being against each other, can we, in our own way, take this little microchip out of our brain that tells us to oppress each other and then self-oppress? It's like this patriarchal system that we're all living in that tells us, do more, be more, you're not enough, like keep going, keep producing, all these things that we're all struggling with. Think of the power if we were to take that out of our brains, stop giving our power away to it, actually see each other for who we are and realize we're all on different paths. It's okay if we're different.
Yeah.
How much better the world would be and how much easier it would be for us, how much better we would feel.
Yeah, totally. And we can just like take that into the lens of community.
Yes.
And, so you host retreats, experiences, you work one on one a lot, but then you also bring women together in community to do this kind of work.
Right.
Um, and you're also going to be speaking at my community event,
Summit.
Sister Circle Summit, in April, and leading us through an embodiment experience and
Yes.
walking beside fear. Will you tell us a little bit about like what you're going to be guiding us through and what does that mean? Like walking beside fear,
Oh,
not getting rid of it, like not being without fear, but beside it.
Right. She gets to come with.
Yeah.
So I've been initiated time after time after time after time in fear, as many of us have. Um, and as a person who has historically carried so much shame around fear and around anxiety, it was always my MO to just push it away and to cope on top of it. Just being more perfect, drink alcohol in social situations, just be good, be on, be perfect. And also avoid things that I actually want to do. So in that whole experience, what I was doing was pushing fear away because of shame. And what I want to offer is a different perspective is fear isn't anything to be ashamed of. Fear is just, I don't feel safe here yet.
Yeah.
And that aspect or aspects of us actually get to come along this journey that we're on into the thing that we want to experience next. So think, we had this conversation earlier when we are evolving into the next phase of our life, into something that feels a little bit edgier, that feels a little scarier. You're going to go talk on this big stage in
Yeah.
a short amount of time. I'm going to go talk on the stage in a amount of time.
Yes.
I'm
We're
terrified.
all like doing things that are scary.
Yes. We're pushing,
and new.
pushing ourselves.
Yeah.
It would be really easy to embody that old persona of like, well, just get it together. Just be perfect. Or just don't
Just
do it at all.
pretend you're not afraid.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm gonna be shitting my pants and it's fine. It's this different mentality of compassion and allowing these parts of us to come with and help them learn that they can trust our adult self, right? So when we're making these bigger decisions, this is out of our adult energy, right?
Yep.
Our current self wants to go do these different things that feel scary. And these parts of us from the past want to contract and pull us back into the old and known ways.
Yeah.
And as long as this thing out here is actually safe,
Right.
we don't want anything that's actually unsafe.
Yeah.
But as long as it's safe, we want to start to bring these parts in so that they can trust that, oh, yep, even though we feel a little scared, I can enter into the safe phase. And I think so much of this too is being willing to be vulnerable and authentic. Because again, shame is going to tell us, don't let anyone see your fear.
Yeah.
Make everyone see you as perfect and having everything together all the time so that you can evolve to the next level, which that is a lie. That is
And
not
I
so.
feel that because it's like even sharing this episode and talking about my own shame and especially around money and like a space that like I constantly feel like I should be further along and I should have this and I should have that and all these things figured out, right? And like from the outside, I'm sure it probably does look like I have everything figured out. So it's hard to not want to be like, no, I actually don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to like, oh, well then why would I work with her? Why would I learn from her? Why would I come to her event if she doesn't have it all figured out?
I'm going to say to you, how relieving, because I don't have it all figured out.
No one does.
I'm going to, as long as
it's like, why do we feel like no one is going to want to work with us? This came up in my session too. That I think is it now that I'm processing later. Why do we feel like no one is going to work with us if we are not perfect? Like who is actually perfect in every area of their life and business? No one.
No one.
And I know that I relate most to my mentors and my teachers that are willing to say, these are my weaknesses. These are areas that I'm not good at, or maybe I've made mistakes in the past, but because I made those mistakes, this is why you should work with me, because I am wiser because of them and I can help you avoid them, or I can, like those are the people I want to learn from, people that have actually gone through the same shit that I have gone through too, or am in the middle of. So why do we feel like we need to show up so perfect and have it all together in order for someone to look at us and say, oh yeah, I choose you, essentially, right?
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowing.
It is. And it's so interesting when you break that down. It's like, in order to be chosen, you have to be perfect.
Right.
And that's not even true. And I think if there are people who are holding that expectation of you or us or anybody, then that's something that they need to look at in themselves.
That's their problem, not mine.
It's not yours. You don't want those people around you.
I'm doing my own work. I'm keeping my side of the street clean, right?
Exactly.
Like, if you're really doing the inner work yourself, like that is their own mirror that they need to look through.
Exactly.
And I always believe that the right people will always be attracted to you and aligned with you when you are truly living in your authentic energy, which is how we like doing this work is how we get to be that.
Yes. Because we're not perfect. And like, I don't know about you, but like what a breath of fresh air when you see someone.
What a relief.
It was just literally a relief that like when you see someone just being themselves. It doesn't mean that you're not professional. It doesn't mean that you're not knowledgeable and like good at what you do. But I think there's also a real hurting feeling, compassionate, everything, a person behind that who experiences life and who has experienced a lot of life up to this point. And I think when we give ourselves grace and we're willing to give others grace and just start to let go of this perfectionism, um, life just gets a lot more fun.
Yeah, you don't take yourself so seriously.
You don't.
Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to, like, have this conversation too, and I brought my podcast back to have these sort of vulnerable
Mhm.
conversations because I think that often what we see online too is these like perfected podcasts, right? Or it's
Right.
like all the conversations are around like how to make XYZ and
Yeah.
how to get a result. And that's exactly what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
not feeling like everything needs to bring some
Mhm.
sort of outcome. And can we just have a conversation that other people are going to relate to
Right.
and feel seen in?
Mhm.
It doesn't always have to bring some like massive transformation.
Some like external results. It's like, can we just be more human and lean
Yeah.
into that and be accepting of that? Because
Yeah.
as long as we're human, we're never not going to be human.
Exactly.
We're going to go through every part, every like feeling that we'd ever experience being human.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you be willing to share like what are some of the ways that you are pushing your own comfort zone
Yeah.
and what comes up and how you're kind of like
Mhm.
working with that?
I would love to share that.
Now that we've talked about my shame,
I know. How much shame do we have? So, a big thing that I'm pushing myself in this year, and especially currently, is visibility and being seen. So, my core wound is around being seen.
Mm.
Um, and with that, like over the years, that's caused me to shrink down, to avoid literally being on a stage.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, and I said this years ago, in this like group coaching thing that I was in, I'm like, I actually really like public speaking.
Yeah, I think you're phenomenal at this podcast right now.
Thank you. I'm like, I actually really
You
love
articulate
it.
so well and like, yeah, you're lighting up. So
Thank you. I'm gonna internalize that. Thank you. It's something that I really like to do, but I had never felt confident in it. And that's because I was holding so much shame just around my entire existence. And that's
Mm.
childhood trauma, right?
Yeah.
Over the years, I've had to heal childhood PTSD and really deep anxiety to get to this point of feeling comfortable with being
Mhm.
seen. Like, yeah, I could deep dive into it, but there were many situations I had to put myself in safely and intentionally to allow these little girl parts of me to finally feel safe of being seen.
Mhm.
And now, as I'm pushing these edges, going to go be on your stage
Yeah.
soon in a few weeks.
And on this podcast,
And on
I
the podcast.
spontaneously was like, hey, do you want to record a podcast after my session?
Yeah.
Like, no prep work or
Mhm.
anything. So,
And
yeah.
it's so good. And it was funny when I had stepped out and then came back, I was reflecting on like, I feel like I've been building up to this phase. Like I had done a lot of um pre-recorded work for an online membership that I hosted last year.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for me, even just to see myself.
Yeah.
And then now, after seeing myself and being in front of a camera and putting myself out on the internet for strangers to see,
Yes. On the interwebs.
oh my God. It's been a very big process of unshaming and just what we talked about, just
Mhm.
being willing to not be perfect
Yeah.
and that it's okay. And then that had been such a huge part of my story. So getting on stages, and that is my future
Mhm.
intention too. Like I want to keep doing it
Yeah.
because I
This
do
is
really
just
like it.
the first
It's just the
one.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, really just pushing the edges there and just not even just like being on a stage or being on a podcast, just being in the community and just allowing myself to just be a part of things. I think I cocooned in my little healing bubble for so long, which was
Which
necessary.
sometimes we have to do that. Yeah.
A lot to reconcile, a lot of things
Mhm.
to work through. And I feel like 2026 is such a year of expansion for all of
Yeah.
us. And I feel that too.
Yeah.
Not like in this performative way, because I want to show up just
Yeah.
being myself. Like
Authentically.
authentic. I'm messy. I'm put together. I'm all of it. Like,
Yeah.
just as we all are.
We can be both.
Exactly. So that's really where I want to push my edges and like, going on stage in a few weeks, it's like my shame is going to come with, my fear is
Yep.
going to come with. There's
Yeah.
no way that I'm not going to feel nervous doing that, but
Yep.
I'm not going to make it a problem.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
I
the
think
biggest
it's a good
piece.
reminder that everyone feels that
Right.
that sense of, even if we've spoken on hundreds of stages, we still want to do well. We
Absolutely.
still want to show up and give the room what they need.
Mhm.
So we can still like feel that even with lots of experience.
Yes.
Because we care about what we're creating.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a good reminder for you and for anyone else stepping onto a stage that every other speaker feels that way too.
Yes.
They might look overly confident and like no problem, but at the end of the day, we all want to feel that we did a good job. We want that external validation. We want someone to come up and say, oh my gosh, that resonated, right?
Right.
So no matter how much experience you have, that fear, those parts of ourselves still come out. But like, again, how can we nurture them? How can we make them feel safe and still do the thing anyways?
Yeah.
Because we have to push our comfort zone in order to grow.
We do. And I think like we know deep down, like we might try to deny it time to time. We know what our desires are. And if we don't, I hope you take space to like start to figure that out, set the intention to figure it out. Cause it's a lot of times our desires actually scare the shit out of us.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Because they push social norms.
I definitely feel that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, why do I have to want this?
Yep.
Like, this is very scary. I don't know what I'm doing. It's very uncertain, but our desires will keep coming back to us until we actually say, okay, I will freaking do the thing then. Like, my gosh, you're not going to leave me alone, are you? So yeah, no, it's so true. I love that. Well, I'm so excited to have you speak, to share. I'm so grateful for all the work that you do with everyone and that I get to experience with you. And we could keep talking for hours. I'm like, I cannot believe this has been an hour already. But Jamie, what is one nugget that you could leave our listeners with who especially are maybe brand new to this work, this conversation? Like, how could they continue to learn more and or dive deeper into themselves?
The first thing that comes to my mind, because it's such a hard question, but I think I want to keep it really, really simple, is start to open up to self-compassion, because that really is the key to it, like plain and simple. And start to notice where you aren't compassionate with yourself yet. And notice whose voice that actually is, because it probably isn't your own.
Interesting.
You know? And usually it's society. It could be society. It could have been your parents. It could have been that mean girl at school. Whose voices did you internalize? Because our true essence, as we said, is innocence. It's love. We didn't come into this world hating ourselves.
Yeah.
So how can we start to return back to that? And again, it's with compassion.
Yeah. So good. And I shared with you today, my word for the year is arrival, and not like I've arrived or I'm arriving anywhere in particular other than arriving back to myself, like my truest self to my core before the world, got crazy and messy. And I think all of us could try to work towards arriving more into that version of ourselves before life felt heavy.
Yes. Oh my
And
God.
you even asked me today, like, when was the last time you felt like really totally free of any burdens, any responsibilities? And I mean, I think for most of us, that goes pretty far back.
Yes.
So to find ways to return to that version of ourselves, to have less stress and overwhelm and pushing and proving and all of those things, and integrate those parts with who we really are at our core and like our younger inner child version.
It can be so fun, right? It can be so beautiful. It's painful. It's all of it. And there certainly isn't a race to the finish line. Right?
There's no finish line, really. I mean, I feel like, we just continue to evolve and grow and expand and gain more and more self-awareness through all of life's lessons. And that's why I love these conversations. I love this work because we just continue to learn more about ourselves.
We do. Yeah. It's such a commitment. Like, we're not always going to love what we feel and what we see, but it's like every single time it just leads us back into our own arrival.
I love it. Well, where can we find you, connect with you, learn more about working with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at Elevated Life Co. My website is myelevatedlifecoaching.com. You can book sessions on there, consultations. Other than that, you can find me on Facebook. Pretty much
Yeah.
every social platform I'm on is
Yes.
Elevated Life Coaching.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this spontaneous episode today. I can't wait for our listeners to experience you at Sister Circle Summit.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Hey, sis, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our weekly conversations that drop every Monday. And would you share this with a fellow sister that needs to hear this message too? If you're craving sisterhood, soul, and strategy in action, I'd love for you to step inside our Sister Circle community, where we gather, grow, and build intentional businesses together in real life and real time. I promise business is more fun in sisterhood. Until next time, keep leading with soul, honoring your season, and don't forget, I'm always cheering for you.